Welcome to Helping Hands with your hosts, John Neiman and Judy Ritchie.
Hello and welcome to Helping Hands. This is our opportunity to let you in the community know how you can lend a helping hand to a program or agency in need. I'm Judy Ritchie with Oshkosh Family Meals on Wheels.
And I'm John Neiman with Aurora Medical Center. Welcome to our show. Where can you see us? We're on Oshkosh Media. We're on Life TV, Channel 2. We're also on the radio at 101.9 FM. Also, go to oshkoshmedia.org and you can get a schedule of all the wonderful shows that are playing on Life TV. We also want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors who make this show possible, and that would be Harnick's Flower and Gifts on 9th Street, and also Aurora Healthcare, who is our monetary sponsor, who makes this show available for you guys to see. Judy, would you like to introduce our first guest?
I would. It's a young man that has some really good ideas for the students at the university, how to party and have fun, and no drugs, no alcohol, and remember what you did the next day. Yeah. So with that, Jake White, do you want to tell us your organization and why is your organization in existence?
Sure. I guess I'll start off just showing you that I'm a human from Oshkosh, grew up here since I was 3 years old, and the reason I started Party.0 is what we call it, is because when I went to UW Oshkosh, I learned that the college culture is just filled with drinking and drugs, and it seems like that's what people do on the weekends for fun. And if you didn't do that, you're actually kind of a social outcast. So I just felt so strongly that if I was going to get a higher education to better myself, I didn't want to do that on the weekends. And I wasn't going to budge. And struggling socially, because I had made that decision for myself, I had not found anybody on campus who shared the same decision as me after my first year. And so eventually, when I became confident enough to tell people that I didn't drink, I started throwing these house parties, thinking there's got to be a better excuse to get people together than a keg. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a way. And so after surveying the students, we found out that people are going to house parties because they like the sense of adventure, they need a place to hang out with their friends, and they want to make new friends. So we threw our first house party, and there was 80 students that showed up. But it was the most terrible party they've ever been to. They left within 15 minutes. And we had gotten all their phone numbers, though, and we told them the next party was going to be way bigger, way better, more room to hang out, more things to do, and 150 students showed up. We got Papa John's Pizza to give us free pizza. We had Red Bull sponsor us as well with free drinks, and people stayed the whole time. They had fun, they played games, and they talked about it with their friends. And ever since then, whenever we throw a sober house party, we can count on around 150 students showing up to have a good time.
That's not a bad number.
And when you first did this, it was on your dime.
Right.
Your first.
Yep.
So you felt that strongly about it that you put your own resources into doing it. What was so bad about the first one?
The first one, it was in this tiny little apartment. Okay. And that half the room that we were in was filled by this couch. And then we had a few games to play and a DJ. Okay. But we had 80 students crammed in this place. So the DJ is playing, but you can't move to dance or anything. Okay. They talked about it because we had grape Kool-Aid. That was the cheapest party we ever threw. It cost us around $5 with Kool-Aid and toilet paper. You know, we didn't pay DJ. We didn't. Everybody's volunteer. Okay. So they just came and we borrowed yard games from the university and had those outside and things like that. But still, everything was so crammed. All they did was drink all the Kool-Aid, and by that time, there's nothing to do. They can't move.
Well, the reason that we wanted you on here too was because you're young. Mm-hmm. And so much news today is always what the youth aren't doing or what they're doing that's bad. And what you're doing is you started this organization from the ground up, Party.0, and it's doing something good for our culture. So where are you now with Party.0?
Yeah, right now, so we've expanded to 3 universities in Wisconsin, which is St. Norbert, La Crosse, and UW Oshkosh, and we're piloting a high school program as well. So Oshkosh North students actually threw their first sober party in partner with the Masonic Center downtown.
Oh, perfect.
And they had over 150 students come to Party Sober from 7 different high schools. So again, this is just, my job at Party.0 is really just to partner with students and let them lead the change that they want. Because they are looking for things to do without drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
And by us empowering them to be their own solution, their friends are listening. They're saying, yeah, Max threw this party and it was awesome. I want to go next time. How can I help?
Okay.
And at the university, you know, Chris and his friends are throwing these parties. And it's cool because it's not an adult like you and I who are doing it. It's them leading the change.
Well, and having a granddaughter who is going into her 2nd year in college, and at a distance, and some of the things that I see posted on Facebook, and it's not been the parties as much as some of her other protesting activities and things, which is a good expansion of her horizons. But as a grandparent, it's my job to worry. And to know that there are these alternative opportunities in the community, in the campus culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is something that as a grandparent I wholly endorse.
Yeah.
And I think that you also gave what may have been considered the minority, but maybe is really not the minority, a voice and somewhere to go. I put 3 kids through college, and I understand what you're saying because it's the environment that you're in or that you're left with. Everyone goes away. What do we do? What can we do? Or if you're in a fraternity or sorority.
Yeah.
So you gave people a voice on what to do. Now let's talk practical. What do you need to keep this going?
Yeah, we need
Financial?
Absolutely financial. Just like any nonprofit, if you think what we do is great, we need your help to make it happen. We rely on donations, business sponsorships. If you know someone who owns a business, let them reach the youth because they care about helping them as well. But not only with that, but I mean, if you want to donate prizes, if you want to donate games, things like that, be creative. How can you help kids provide something positive and students create something new?
Now our time is winding down, but how would they contact you? I know the address is on our screen right now. Is there an email or a phone that you want them to call, or what would be the easiest way to get hold of you?
Me directly, you can email me at jake@party0.org.
Okay.
Or you can call me, 920-216-1827.
Because I do think Oshkosh is a very giving community, and I think if they knew about this, like you said, the door prizes, the refreshments, you already mentioned Papa John's was a big donor, Red Bull, your DJs. So I think this is an important cause to help celebrate our youth and what they do. Any final thoughts before we end? What's your...
Yeah, I think a question I get a lot is like, what is your vision? What are you trying to do? And what we really want to do is give every single student an opportunity to fit in, make friends, and have fun without feeling like they have to drink in order to do those things. And that's what we want to do across the country. And it started all right here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
And that right there says a lot for us. It's no longer UW.
Yeah.
It's now UW Oshkosh, a place to be proud of.
Exactly.
And this is Event City, and you've created events, which is really great. Can you give your email and phone again for our audience before we go?
Yes, jake@party0.org and 920-216-1827.
We're so happy that you could be on our show today because this is a great program that promotes good, clean entertainment. And I think it's wonderful that you're doing this. So we really appreciate you being here. And if any of our viewers want to contact Judy or myself, we'll be glad to pass on the information to Jake. If you have prizes to donate, you have resources, anything like that, I think it would make a big difference. And it is making a big difference in our community. So
and it's not just us, but it's the emergency personnel of the city, the hospitals that say thank you so much.
And so thank you for watching us also, and stay tuned, and we'll be back for our second segment of Helping Hands.
In Wisconsin, the laws are the same for bicyclists and motorists. So if you bike, ride with the traffic and obey stop signs and lights. Whether you ride a bike or drive a car, you must yield the right-of-way to pedestrians at marked and unmarked crosswalks. At intersections, always look for pedestrians before making a turn. and slow down in school zones and neighborhoods to keep our kids safe. Share and be aware. We're all responsible.
We're so glad that you're here with us. We have special guests today that I'm really interested in learning more about. Judy, would you like to introduce them?
I would. Actually, as a very good neighbor, we're agency next to one another.
That's right.
In the Hooper Community Building. Tracy Robertson, who is the executive director of Fit Oshkosh. And that sounds like a fitness program, and we've got to get in shape. We need to get in shape, but it's not the physical, correct?
That's correct. So our work is around creating the beloved community, creating a space here in the county where everyone, no matter what their nationality is, sexual orientation is, spiritual preferences are, can fit. And so we focus on race and helping our community to understand that, because it's an economic sustainability issue. If we want to attract and retain young people of all demographics, it's really important that we do this work and understand how to do that successfully. So.
And we're talking about young people, so there's a young person sitting next to you. This is Jake White, and you are a volunteer?
Yes,
for
that's
Fit?
correct. Ever since I heard about Fit, I was just eager to get involved and see what they need that I can help with.
So my first question is, how did you hear about Fit?
Fit, I think it actually was Tracy reached out to me about a group that she was putting together, just a group of passionate people that were doing things in the community. And she reached out to me and said, hey, you're like someone like me, and we need to encourage each other and find a way to connect. So when we met, and I heard about her initiative through that, it was just instant. So personal connection, yeah. She reached out to me, and it was a good fit.
And we find that out a lot. Sometimes people just need to be asked. They're waiting to be asked. Maybe they're too shy or they don't really know much about it. But ask someone, and you got someone.
Absolutely, I've got someone great. So we're really pleased to have him.
When did this start? When did the whole idea of Fit start?
So we've actually been doing work in the community for the past 4 years. We started out doing it as just really interested community members. We started out having what we call our Color Brave community conversations. And what that is we would get a bunch of people in the community together at a venue. Typically it was a church in the Oshkosh area, to look at a clip or video that addressed the issue of race. And then we would watch that clip or video and have some facilitated discussion around it. And the conversations took off. People were really excited about it. We were seeing on average about 40 or 50 people a month.
Wow.
And the university gave us an award for that work. And at about year 3, we decided, well, we really need to do something else, because at this point, we're kind of preaching to the choir. The people that are coming to our events are people who really understand the value of this conversation and have already started to do this work. So how do we engage people who aren't at the table? People like the police department, people like local government. And so we decided to form a 501c3. We did that in my living room in July of 2014, and
Good
here
for
we are.
you.
So yeah.
Wow.
And along with that, it always begs the question, nonprofits, where does the money come from?
Sure, that's a great question. So most of the programming and training that we do is free to the community. And so certainly those programs are funded by donors. We have people who really believe in our mission, and they donate to us on a monthly basis. We also have training that we deliver to places like the school district, the police department, the human services department of the county, and those organizations pay us to come in and do that training.
So we know that you're located in the Hooper building.
We are.
Where United Way is and Oshkosh Family is. How big is your staff?
Our staff consists of me.
Welcome to our world. Is that not amazing? And what one energetic person can do.
Well, and I have a really fantastic board of 7 that really help me and get their feet wet and dig in and do everything from, dust counters to do marketing. And then I have great volunteers like Jake who pitch in and really help to move our mission forward. So I don't do it alone, but I can't
Jake,
take any credit.
What do you do for Fit?
So far, just helping where I can help with my business expertise, brainstorming, and helping Tracy out with just that mission. and getting young people engaged. But mostly I just like to volunteer my time in the Color Brave community reads. So whether it's welcoming people with a smile when they come in and helping lead discussion, I just basically ask, what do you need today if I have some time, or what's the next event and how can I fit in? But I'm excited to when our schedules work, to get trained as a facilitator where I can help facilitate discussions around race, because it is something that's important and that I need to know more than I do now to help do that effectively. So becoming that type of volunteer as well.
Okay.
Well, and Tracy, I keep hearing the door opening and closing over by you. I see the sign on the door. Being a one-person staff, you're not always in the office to answer the phone.
That's right.
So people need to leave messages. And how do they actually contact you?
So if you call our office and I'm not there, those messages are forwarded to my cell phone. So they can call our office and get me directly. I am always available. People can just call our office and they'll more times than not get me, unless I'm facilitating training, and then I can certainly return those phone calls quickly.
And that phone number is?
So our office phone number is 773, no it's not, 312-479, I'm gonna botch it because I never call it, 5380. That's it.
We do that all the time.
Good.
You know?
Good.
It's like, what is our number?
We
Yeah.
don't call
I don't
our own
call
numbers.
I know.
I don't call my number.
I
That's
know.
our office number.
People will ask what your cell phone number is. I don't know. I don't call it. You know, how do you, and
I
then you-
actually do know my cell phone number, but I don't know our office number, which is,
but so
Sad,
so
but true.
you will answer the phone all of the time.
I
then.
typically answer the phone all of the time.
Amazing.
We do, we are starting a lending library. We want to be a resource to people. Oftentimes when people will do our training, they'll say, I want to know more. I need more resources, more videos, more books. More. So we are creating a lending library where people can come into our office and either borrow resources from us like you would from a library, or come into our office and read.
Okay.
So we are looking for a volunteer who would be the person who welcomes people into our cozy corner to read some of our literature. So that's a way that someone could volunteer.
Okay.
And when you get volunteers, what is the application process to be with you?
Sure. So of course, our volunteers can come from any backgrounds, any age. We typically do kind of an intake, have a conversation with them about our mission, make sure they fully understand that mission and what's important about it. And then we do a facilitation, we do a volunteer training where we talk more extensively about our organization, why our work matters, how they can get involved, what that involvement looks like, and then you're off and running.
Do you do the background checks like we have to do?
We have not historically done background checks on our volunteers. It really has been kind of a relational sort of thing.
Okay.
No.
Especially because I would think that you're finding people who are very passionate about your cause, and what they're doing when you have those conversations with people, you kind of can get a read on them also, which we also do. It's just
We do too, but we still need to kind of do that extra step because
of the health care and,
Sure.
and
the
all of that.
vulnerability of the individuals we work with.
Sure. Most of our volunteers, too, are not coming into our office very often. For example, when Jake is the greeter at our community conversations, he's meeting us at the venue, he's at that desk kind of welcoming people in. So we don't have a lot of high risk or a lot of, people.
Dealing with clients
Yeah,
and other things like that.
exactly. So we have not implemented a background policy, background check policy, but it's certainly something we might need to consider.
So tell me about the community conversations, because this is, I'm always amazed when there's something that I haven't heard about.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Sure.
so tell me about the community conversations.
Yep.
How often do they happen? Where is the venue? Things like that.
Fantastic. So the community conversations, the Color Brave community conversations, take place once a month from September through May. They typically happen at a house of faith here in the Oshkosh community. One of our most frequent hosts is All Saints Church on West 21, where Pastor Kim Krogstad is the pastor. And so last month, for example, we watched a documentary called When the Bow Breaks. And it's about premature births and how premature births in people of color and women of color have been tied to racial stress. So it doesn't matter. You could take a woman of color. This woman happened to be an attorney. And she was an attorney, and they were comparing her health experience, her pregnancy, with a young white woman who didn't even graduate from high school. And the black woman, in this particular case, the subject was a black woman who was an attorney, a lawyer, very high profile lawyer. Her outcomes were not as good as the white teenage mom. And they were attributing that to racial stress and how stress is a huge determinant to health and health outcomes. So,
And that's something that we don't necessarily take into account because we look at the economic status, educational status compared to each other. And you would expect the exact reverse.
that's exactly right. Typically, when people look at disparities in healthcare, they look at things like socioeconomics, education, familiar status, whether the couple is married, those kinds of things. But the American Public Health Association and a lot of the healthcare industry is really beginning to recognize that race plays a factor in some of those health outcomes. So you'll see a lot of really renowned doctors and organizations like the APHA taking a deeper dive into the impacts of being a person of color in this country and how that shows up in your health experiences.
So you're a small not-for-profit,
We
so
are.
it means budgets are nothing,
Yes.
to get volunteers or do your marketing or communication. So where do you advertise?
So our Facebook page is extremely popular. We do a lot of our marketing there around what programs are coming up.
Okay.
We do a lot of educational, a lot of teaching there, so lots of videos, clips, articles that people can use to explore. We've certainly done some press releases and gotten a
Okay.
lot of media coverage around a lot of the programming we're doing. The Color Brave Community Read that we're doing right now has gotten a lot of both national and local press.
So if they go on Facebook, they just put Fit Oshkosh.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they will
I'll have
find
to-
us.
And
in-
it's easy to
I'll
find.
have to friend them and like them. Okay.
Please do.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though my kids do not like me being on Facebook because it's not cool that,
Yes.
that you can spy on your kids while,
Yes.
while you're on Facebook.
My
but-
kids have said that I have ruined Facebook. Yeah.
But you also do a blog, don't you?
I do have a blog on our website, which is currently being redeveloped by a couple of volunteers. And so I do some blogging there and talk a lot about this work, my own experiences through this work. We also have a lot of guest bloggers. Last month we had the chancellor at UWO, Andy Levitt, did a guest blog for us, as well as Pastor Jan Vieseth, who's a pastor here locally. So we do invite other people to be a part of this conversation and this really important work that we're doing in the community and share their thoughts about it.
So pardon the pun, but you'd be a great fit for AVA, which is the Alliance of Volunteer Agency Group, which we have.
Okay.
Which we bring people into the group, anyone who manages volunteers in a not-for-profit setting. So Hospital Boys and Girls Club, the Girl Scouts, Habitat for Humanity, EAA. We all gather once a month and we network, we fellowship, we have food. And it really is a fun time. And I think they like to learn what's going on. And also in that group, we learn little secrets on where you can get free this and where you can advertise this.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And who does
And,
that?
and a good partner for our group is actually For Imprint.
Oh,
because
sure.
they're one-on-one giving back to the community and a few of the other groups in the community. And Bemis Company with their employees doing volunteering for the nonprofits. For every hour that they volunteer for the nonprofit, that nonprofit gets $10.
Wow.
So there's a lot of good resources, and I know our audience is thinking, aren't they going to break? But we are going to hold off our break for a little while because we have so much to talk about here, so we're going to stay on for a couple more minutes because we all need to share resources, especially when someone is new. When I came
Absolutely.
back to this community just to find out where you can get the free advertising from, which organizations will have programs for their employees, where you can get grant money from that you didn't know about before. And we really are a great group that does like to share. We even share our volunteers. We have volunteers that go back
They go
and forth.
from one to the other, and I don't call this one on such and such day because they're volunteering for John or they're volunteering for Amy.
And we're really excited because at our meeting that we had, we are EAA is trying to put together a community resource fair.
Okay.
And they don't have a date or time picked yet, but it will be at EAA, and it will be a chance for all the organizations to come together and invite the community in, and we're hoping it will be in the evening.
Okay.
Because it's hard to do something during the day when people do work and that. So to have some big community resource fair in the evening where people can come in and learn about different agencies that maybe they don't know anything about?
Yeah, sure. Jake and I are part of what we're calling a new nonprofit group. There are 4 of us that get together once a month. We're all brand new nonprofits, less than 5 years old. And we do exactly that. We share some resources. We talk about where you need assistance.
Oh my gosh.
How can I help you? What's your agency up to? So that we can be that little support for each other. So, and that's been really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like we need to go over there
It does.
too.
It
Yeah.
does.
Immerse
Absolutely.
ourselves
Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard for people to find each other.
Yeah.
And we do notice that a lot of the newer people in the volunteer world are graduates out of the university, and this is their first job, and
First
they
job,
need, they
new to
need
the
those
community.
resources
Sure.
and all of that
And
stuff.
their idea of networking is the social network. And we're of old school of the face-to-face network and on the other end of the phone. And we need to meld
Together,
those
we learn from them about blogging, which I'm still not, and tweeting and all of that, and then they learn from us of some of the other things that
You
we
know, I
can
just
do.
did my first tweet last week.
Really?
Tweeted for the first time. I felt so accomplished.
Oh my gosh, I just don't understand it. My kids try to explain it to me, and I know it's good and all that. But Facebook, I really do use Facebook at Aurora. What the stuff I put out there, people respond to it, and you can talk about your events. You
Yep.
can talk about what's going on, and I really like to talk about the youth in our community because our community needs to talk more about the good that our youth are doing than all of the other things. So the sharing of the stories is really wonderful.
Yeah.
And the Northwestern is very good too. Of you submit articles of what's going on.
Yep.
They're putting more emphasis back to the community, as opposed to for a few years that was sort of lacking. And reader submitted articles are in frequently.
So if you both had one last thing to say, anything you wanted to say to our audience about your group or about volunteering, what would you say?
I'd say come and join Fit Oshkosh. The work that we're really doing is important. It doesn't matter what your background is. The work that we do impacts everyone, and we'd love to have you. But now we're going to have to do a background check, thanks to Judy.
That depends on the volunteers you have and where you're using them, but yes.
And again, they can find you on Facebook at Fit
Definitely.
Oshkosh?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
perfect. And Jake?
I think if you don't have the money to help, giving your time is the next best option. So you can tell a person's value by their calendar and their checkbook. So if you say you're passionate and you want to make a change, then it's great to partner with someone like Tracy and Fit Oshkosh and actually make a difference. And it feels great. It feels great, and you know that you have a place in the community and you're making a difference. So I'd just be encouraging to everyone.
And I would just guess that you've been volunteering since high school.
Actually,
Before
no.
high school.
Really?
I was
No.
not involved. I was kind of not that person in high school.
Oh.
Really developed in college and got involved and
Wow.
found that I had a purpose.
And you see now that Lourdes has a program, because we get a lot of Lourdes students where they have a program where they're allowed to leave a class and come out and volunteer at an agency to learn more about the community. And I think that's a structured program that they have that is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
How did he escape Kathy Jeffers all those years?
Yes.
Oh, I had her.
Did you?
Yeah.
She was Miss Push volunteer. She was wonderful at Lourdes. We got a lot of my good volunteers came
Right.
through her. So
Yeah.
Lourdes does good stuff in our community. So
Thank you for being
thank
with
you
us.
both
Thank you
for
for
being
having
with us.
us.
We
We
appreciate
appreciate it.
that. So I'm John Neiman with Aurora Medical Center at 456-7013.
And Judy Ritchie with Oshkosh Family Meals on Wheels, 651-3316.
Be sure to have a great summer, a safe summer, a relaxing summer, and safe travel to you as you visit family and friends this summer.